Okay, so hi everyone, and let me begin by introducing myself. I'm Dr. Manoj Krishna. My background is I used to be a spine surgeon before I left medicine to set up the Human Wisdom Project. And this is my colleague, Dominic Curran, who's a retired head teacher and head of education at Human Wisdom. So, and it's thank you all for taking the time. I'm going to begin by asking a couple of questions. So, what is it that you think young people like yourselves want from life? What do you want in your future? Anyone? Ananya, what do you want for yourself? What do you want in the future?
I don't know, to just feel like happy overall.
You want to be happy overall, okay? Anyone else? Nandini?
Well, I kind of like the adventure aspect, so I would like to be surprised in general whatever will happen in the future.
Okay.
Just yeah.
Shiv?
Maybe a more settled life, you know.
Okay, a settled life. What does that settled mean? Like successful?
Yeah, probably successful and not a lot of worries.
And not a lot of worries. Okay, so
Yeah.
you want to be mentally healthy? Is that fair enough? You could describe
Yes,
it
free
that
of
way.
stress, anxiety.
You don't want any of that. Okay. Ananya? Anaya, sorry. Anaya.
I think I'd want the same. Like I'd want a steady life with not too much stress because that's not going to end up well if I have too much stress.
Okay. Gauri?
I would want to be successful in life and not worry about everything.
Okay. So success and be mentally healthy, not worry. Alicia, what about you?
I would like to be mentally organized and learn what to prioritize and when to prioritize.
Okay. That's what you're hoping for in the future. Hania?
I think I'd like to be satisfied and with myself and happy. Yeah.
You want to be satisfied with yourself and happy. Okay. Prithvi?
Probably a combination of being successful, but at the same time being happy, not not stressing out too much about whatever challenges I may face, but just not and be content with what I have achieved.
Okay. Contentment. That's a new one. Hitisha, we're just asking this question as to what you want from your future. What do you want from your life?
I think my topmost priority would be like having a well-balanced life.
What does that mean to you, a well-balanced life?
Being mentally healthy, being physically healthy, and also being successful in your pathway of life.
Okay. And Callan? What about you?
So for me, it would probably be like having a successful and happy life with people who I can trust.
Okay. And Rishima, lastly.
Probably like money.
Okay. Alicia, I think I asked you, didn't I? Did I miss you out? No.
No, you asked me.
I asked you. Okay. All right. So what are the themes emerging from this conversation? Success, mental health, balance. Anything else I missed, Dominic?
So, Manoj, happiness was definitely a key thing for me that I picked out.
Okay. So now my next question is, and you don't have to answer this, by the way, is how is your education system, the current education you're having, preparing you for a happy and well-balanced life? Do you have lectures on happiness? Do you have lectures on balance? Do you have lectures on being content? Is that part of your education, or is something you'll just learn as we travel? Yes, I know education prepares you for so-called success in the world, all right? But let's take that word success as well, in the commonly accepted term, which is material success, wealth and fame and all that. I was doing some research, and you can look this up yourself, that the academic grades that you get in school and your so-called academic intellect contributes much less than you think to your overall success in life. This is research being done from the 1950s onwards, by the way. According to Daniel Goleman, emotional intelligence contributes 80% to your success in the world. And the difference, and all this research has been done between the people who are successful, the IQ difference is only 1 to 2%. But we are being educated only about the world around us, but not ourselves. So emotional intelligence is not something that's taught. So this work that we're doing with Human Wisdom is going to try and redress that balance. So Dominic, do you want to take it from there and just summarize what we're trying to do?
I think the easiest way that I can explain it is, having spent 25 years in education, is that the way the education system is made, it looks upon you all as kind of empty vessels, and you in which to fill up with knowledge and qualifications or whatever it might be. And our approach is to almost to turn that on its head and to say, well, what are the qualities that you have within each and every one of you? What are the things that you're born with? And it's about drawing those out from within. And it's our belief that that is the way to lead to a successful and happy life. So I suppose my question would be, what are the innate qualities that when you're born, right from the very first, you're new into the world. What are the things that are there already? Are you curious? Do you have the ability to learn? Is that innate within you? So just take curiosity for one. So is our education system built to enhance that curiosity? Or is it there to tell you the answers?
So I think when we're in the earlier parts of our schooling, we were introduced to a lot of topics and in a wide variety of subjects. So that allows us to explore our interests in various different subjects. And then during the latter years of senior school, we get an opportunity to zero in onto the subjects that we like the most and choose them. So I think I think the education system that we're a part of does actually help us work on our curiosity and work on the topics that interest us. It gives us an opportunity to do that as well.
Great. So I guess what we're trying to do with Human Wisdom is to balance out education so that right now you're educated only about the world around you, but not about yourself. For example, you don't know how to deal with, or you're not formally taught how to deal with stress and anxiety, how to be content, how to be happy, how to have relationships without conflict, how to avoid addiction, how to communicate, and how to develop your communication skills, and so on and so on. Because the world you're joining as adults is a tough world, you see. Because right now, the statistics for adults in the world are 80% suffer from stress or anxiety, 10% suffer from depression, but 1 in 6 people have a substance abuse disorder, but 1 in 4 have some kind of mental health issue. More than half the relationships in the world are dysfunctional to some extent. And employers are saying, yeah, you've come from Oxford or Harvard or wherever you've come from, but where is your emotional intelligence? Where are your social skills, your ability to collaborate, deal with resilience, deal with stress, be resilient, all of that. So what we're trying to do with Human Wisdom is give young people all these skills alongside their education. And these come from a deeper understanding of yourself and how your mind works. So we launched the Human Wisdom app for adults about 6-8 months ago, and we're developing one for teenagers now. And what we were looking for are teenagers who'd be interested in collaborating with us and helping us develop that program. It's already in development, but refining it so that it becomes much more suitable for you. So we're here to ask for your help. Do you understand? Because you are the expert on being a teenager, not me. And you know what it's like, what life is like at your age. You will be joining a group of teenagers from around the world. We're working with other teenagers in, say, the United States and India and here in Dubai and so on. And there are three things that we will be asking you to do. One is we'll be asking you to review what we're creating and give us your comments so we can make it better. And by the way, we've already worked with some students from GEMS Academy over the last 2 years, Sri Alini and Swati Naya, and Christy and so on. So there's been a few students we worked with already, and Sri was going to join the call to explain the impact it's had on her. So one is to review the content. The second thing we'd like to do is to have conversations with you that we'd like to record and share in the app. So I'll send you some examples of that, of those conversations that we're having with young people. They're very general, but it's a process of learning together, and then it'll go inside the app so that other young people, when they watch that from around the world, will identify. They'll say, oh yeah, here's another young person who thinks like me, feels like me, and so on. So that's the beginning of what we're thinking of doing. Later on, we're thinking maybe we'll have teen talk. That means we'll have conversations among teenagers together and so on. So this really can prepare you for life ahead and balance out and teach you all the things that formal education at the moment doesn't teach you. And you know, everything you learn in school, you'll forget in 6 months or a year. Like ask me the periodic table or, you know, the history of India and the Guptas and all of that. I can't remember a single word right now. But if you learn, for example, to ride a bicycle or you learn to swim, you never forget that. So this, let's call it social emotional learning, is like riding a bicycle. It's a skill that you need in life that'll help you flourish, both successful in the world and as a human being, to be a better human being for yourself and of course for the world. Anything to add to that, Dominic?
Yeah, the key thing for me when you were talking about what it is you want in life, you talked about being happy and successful, but I think very few of you talked about relationships. Yes. And actually the key to a happy life is having successful relationships. Now, the way I see that, there's two relationships, I suppose, in general, that the key to your success and happiness. There's the relationship with others, and there's the relationship with yourself. And that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about learning about yourself so that you can have the best relationship you can possibly have with yourself. How many of you have maybe a little unfriendly voice that talks to you in your head? I can see a little wry smile come on a couple of faces there, thinking, yeah. We all do. And it's about understanding that and about getting the friendlier voice inside of our heads.
Yes.
If you had, just an example, I often say, if you were driving a car and the passenger inside the car next to you kept telling you how useless you were or not good enough, what would you do to that passenger? You'd say, thank you, you can go now. But actually what happens inside our heads is we have that passenger with us all of the time, and we never say, go away, we never question it, you know? So that's part of what this is for me.
Yes. Such an important point, Dominic, because your relationships at work and at home are going to be the single biggest determinant of your happiness. And it's not a subject that's covered in school in any depth at all. And so people are surprised, oh, I'm the topper in Oxford, topper in my school. How can I be unhappy? It's just because it's not something that's ever been focused on. So what we're asking is that we're going to try and develop this teenage group so to advise us to develop this app to the best that it can be, and so that it can help other students, millions of them around the world. So that's really what we're trying to do. I'm going to just share my screen and show you the design of what this app is going to look like, and so you get a sense of it. So it's going to go up and down, sort of right to left. So there's a section at the top called Feel Better Now, and there are many different subjects. So if you take stress, for example, or loneliness, depression. So the app is designed to help people feel better now and then go deeper to understand the root cause of problems for longer term benefit. There's also a daily practice with a breathing exercise and a question of the day. There's a range of topics to explore in depth, including mental health, which includes stress and anxiety, managing your emotions, how to succeed in life. Remember, we're saying succeed in life in the broadest term, which includes being happy, overcome your habits, have happier relationships, understand yourself, and feel calm. So that's the that section. Then there's like a magazine which will feature some new content every day, like a blog or a video or an event. Some awareness exercises. If you have no idea what awareness is, what does self-awareness even mean? You might think. So these are very graduated step-by-step exercises to help you develop your self-awareness. And here are some testimonials at the bottom. And then there's this new section we've developed called Find Answers. So that's divided into two parts: why do I and how can I? So why do I have different opinions to others, or why do I feel envious, or why do I get angry? Or it's how can I be less stressed or be happier, which is something all of you've asked for, or cope with exam pressure, or be less anxious, or have good friendships, and so on. So when I've spoken to young people and explained all this, they feel is probably the most important thing that's never taught anywhere. And this is something we're trying to change in the world. So education becomes much more holistic. In fact, we've just written an article how the current education system doesn't serve students because the two things you want in life, to be happy, is not taught, and to be successful, well, emotional intelligence, they say, is 80% of success. Look it up. Don't believe me, by the way. That's not taught either. So it doesn't serve students. It doesn't serve society as a whole, because the challenges society is facing, the world is facing, which you're going to face. Currently, we're being educated, how can I be the top dog, number one? We're not being taught how to collaborate with each other to solve problems, how to come together to solve problems. We're being educated, how can I be the number one guy in the company, earn the most money in the world, be the most famous person, and so on. But that is not going to help society or humanity as a whole. So all of those things need to change. It doesn't mean that you don't have enough money. Of course you do. And of course you have a happier life and all of that. So that's just a flavor of all that. And there's much more in the app, of course. So I'm going to stop talking there and ask if you have any questions. Any questions at all? What do you think so far? Gauri, what do you think?
I think it's a really good app. I mean, I'm interested to help it develop further.
Okay. Are you interested in the subject, Ananya? What do you think of this whole idea that the ideas that we've shared with you all? Do you find that interesting or useful, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's really great because most of the time we kind of have to just figure it out on our own. So to have like an app that can kind of teach us about it, it's a great idea.
Okay. Shiv, what are your thoughts? Any thoughts on this?
I think it's a great initiative because these days in our school and being busy with the curriculum, we don't really have time to focus on our emotions or even be self-aware about ourselves, like what we are going through, stress, anxiety. We just treat it as normal,
Yeah.
not diseases, but like everyday problems, and we just get over it. So an app to really figure out how to get over such stuff on a daily basis would really help, I think.
Anaya, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think this is interesting and useful for young?
Well, I think the app is very interesting. It's very convenient for younger people because we're always on our phones anyway. So the app is another way to use our phone, and it's a different type of like way to find this information because we're always so busy with school and stuff. We don't really get time for this. But now that it's so convenient to us, it's easier.
And young people around the world, maybe not reflected in your circles, the statistics are astonishing in terms of how much distress there is. We've done a survey in a school. 80% of students said they had some degree of stress and that impacted learning. So it's not just about the future. It's also about currently. If your mind is stressed for whatever reason, the amount of information you can absorb and how well you can do is affected. Prithvi, what do you think? Any thoughts on that, on this whole area that we've been discussing?
No, I think that because everyone feels stress differently, everyone has different reactions to stress. There's not a certain mold that everyone fits in. So I think in that way, the app does a really good job of kind of covering all the bases that people who are facing different problems, people who are reacting to stress differently, all of them have an opportunity to come and understand why they're feeling and how to get over it.
That's very beautifully said. Because, for example, I'll give you an example of what the app does. Say your best friend gets more marks than you in the exam. So I ask young people this all the time. So how do you feel? And they'll say they feel jealous. They don't want to talk to their friend. They feel the friends, and their friendship starts getting affected. But underneath that, of course, is the mind's comparing all the time, and we're not even aware of it. We think that, other people are responsible for how we're feeling. Hania, any thoughts from your end?
So I think this is a really good app because it clears our minds of what we are going through rather than just keep overthinking about it.
Yes.
So if we solve our problems now, it's better for us in the future to later it won't affect us.
Yeah, this skill, you see, if you learn it when you're young, then lifelong you're able to manage your own emotions and all of those things, understand your thoughts and feelings. And you see, the other thing it does, Dominic, do you want to talk a little bit about compassion and how this understanding brings compassion? We've talked about it a lot.
Actually, I think Prithvi said a very wise thing about how we all react in different ways. And we see each of us have our own unique perspective on the world. We see the world through our own filters, through our upbringing, the conditioning that we go through. But by understanding that, this is how I see the world, and understand the impact that my upbringing, let's say, for instance, has on the way I view the world. Well, the more I understand myself, the more I understand that, the reason why that person there is reacting in that way is because of the way they see the world. Now, there is what we tend to do is we tend to go into a judgment state and say, well, I am right and they are wrong. Well, actually, this understanding creates a much, much greater space for compassion, as Manoj says, because you understand, well, of course they see the world in that way, but I see the world in this way. So that brings compassion, that brings understanding. and then we can begin to communicate and understand each other, which develops relationships, which actually will make the world a better place.
Yes.
And you've got this opportunity here to develop this for not only for yourself, but for the world.
Yes. I forgot to mention that's our real goal at Human Wisdom, which is to help make the world a better place and help each person flourish in that world. Alicia, what are your thoughts on this?
I think this app development is really great because a lot of the times, even if we get on our phone and whenever we try to search up like causes for why we might be feeling an emotion, there are very diverse answers which are given on the internet, and because they're mainly search engines, like there are lots of like a lot of symptoms and causes. Sometimes it goes to such an extent like if you're sad, some people might diagnose you with depression on some websites. But with this app, you can actually understand why you're feeling an emotion and how to tackle it.
Yes, that's beautifully said. Why you're feeling an emotion and how to tackle it. Because you see, once you understand clearly, it's a bit like a car, when a car breaks down, if you understand what's wrong with the engine, then it's very easy to fix. But if you don't understand what's going on, then of course, you're stuck with a car that's not working very well. Callan, what do you think?
So I think it's a great app, especially it can help like teenagers who are like having a lot of stress and anxiety with dealing with schoolwork in their personal lives. It would help them a lot judge their emotions and their personality and decide what's better for their future through it.
Okay. Hitisha.
To be honest, like throughout this whole meeting, I started like questioning myself, like, do I really know myself? And like, am I that person who I wanted to be? And I feel once you have like one source of app which like tells you everything and which lets you open up or even lets you give advices, then it like really helps to like incorporate that in your daily life and just like go with it.
Thank you. Rishima?
Yeah, I actually have a question. Like,
Oh, great. Go on.
In terms of like dealing with stress, I feel like everyone has like their own ways of dealing with stress. Like some methods work for some people and some methods don't work for some people. So how does like your app cater to such a like personalized level?
Okay. So it's about understanding. So the first thing we're doing is we'll help you to feel better now. Okay. So we'll do the standard stuff. We'll do the breathing exercises. We'll do the meditations. We'll do the nature meditations. We'll do journaling. We have an online journal. So once you start writing all your thoughts down, you start feeling better, etc. But the key to not being stressed is to change your thinking, to change your perspective. So for example, once you understand that your mind is comparing all the time, and that's one of the main reasons that you're feeling stressed, for example, then you can ask yourself, does that serve me? You'll become aware of it. So that awareness and understanding means that every time that comes up, you'll put it to one side. You say, this is not serving me. It doesn't matter how many marks, someone else has got in the exam. This is absolutely fine. I've done my best and whatever I've got is perfectly fine. And in the long run, it doesn't matter anyway, and so on, you see? So it's the deeper understanding that brings the longer term benefit. Do you understand, Rishma?
Yeah, regarding that, also like why wouldn't human interaction like be more effective in these kind of situations? Like
Okay.
how is
Yeah, good question. So all the research is showing, by the way, nothing wrong with the human interaction. Very good. We absolutely encourage it. Talk to friends, teachers, parents, all of that. But this is one area when you have a mental health issue, for example, it's very difficult in the middle of that to talk to anyone. Sometimes teenagers struggle to communicate with their parents or with each other. And as adults, 70% of people with a mental health problem don't talk to other people because they feel some kind of stigma. They feel others won't understand, nobody wants to listen. Or when people do start to listen, they're immediately full of giving advice. I'm going to tell you a story about one of your students in a second. Does that help answer that question, Rishma? Do you have another question?
No, I'm clear. No.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Ardra?
Just like everyone else said, I think it's a really great initiative. And I think the best part of this app is the fact that it has almost everything that anyone has to deal with, like from like breathing exercises to how to deal with specific situations. And I think that's really good because like usually if suppose I search up something or a person searches up something on how to deal with a specific situation and it doesn't really cater to their specific situation or how to deal with what they're going through, because a lot of things come up on Google or YouTube, for instance. And so just to see that there's so many other ways of dealing with your situation or whatever you're going through, which is like there right in front of your eyes, like all of those different options, I think it would be really helpful for people to like deal with their situation in a better and much effective way.
Okay, let me tell you a story. It's one of your school mates, Sia. Do you know Sia Gokhale? She's currently in the Dubai cricket team, women's cricket team. I think she's from your school. So she's now a partner. We call her an ambassador for human wisdom. And she's part of our advisory group. And I say this with Sia's permission because we've recorded a video together, which is now going to be on our app. But Sia suffered from depression, and she was very openly talking about it. Started when she was 15. It took her a year to understand that she was going through something, another year to talk to her parents and get them on board, and then she got help. So there's so many people suffer for so long in silence, and now she's great. She's doing really well. But so I'll share the conversation I had with Sia as well with you all, so you'll see. And we've been talking to teenagers, so I'll share all that with you, so you'll get a real sense of what we're trying to do here. We're not really trying to dig into your own personal story. I'm not interested in the details of what's happening to you in a kind of prying sense, but more a general exploration, like we've been talking about, like what causes stress? What is emotional intelligence? How do you deal with the fear of death, for example? I went to a school and I asked young people, I said, what's your biggest fear? You think it was exams? No, it was the fear of death, And these were like 17-year-olds, So then we talked about that. I said, does anyone talk about that in your school? And they said, no, nobody does. Even our parents don't talk about that because it's a subject, nobody wants to talk about. But it was a big fear for a lot of people. So all of that is inside the app that we are creating. I'll send you a link to the adult program, this new design, and send you lots of content. And then, of course, Miss Anika and Miss Sindhu will share that with you. And then the next step will be just reply to that email, let me know, your WhatsApp number. We'll set up a group and we'll begin collaborating and, having conversations. Rishima, you have a question or comment?
Yeah, I have one more question. So, the overall goal is to help every teenager in the world. Yeah, basically, of all age groups. So this, how would this app reach out to those teenagers who aren't that aware or don't really consider mental illness like a thing?
Yes. Rishima, I was a young man in Australia. I was about 25, 26, and I met an Aborigine elder. And I said, what advice would you have for a young man just starting out in the world? And you have that beautiful black, thick skin, and he had beautiful, shiny eyes. And he told me something I've carried with me for the last 35, 40 years, which is, traveler, there's no path. Paths are made by walking. So what we're trying to do here at Human Wisdom is, in a way, revolutionary, because we're trying to bring this dimension of learning into education. Learning about yourself, and then applying that understanding to enhance every aspect of your life. So Rishima, the short answer is, I don't know. I don't have all the answers. All we can do is begin walking. For each person who changes, it impacts the world around them. Gradually, I hope we'll come to a point where schools will say, oh, this is really, really important for young people. Parents will say this is really important for young people, and it needs to become a formal part of education. That means it needs to have time in the curriculum and all that, because it's what's going to help you flourish in the world. Yeah? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like people don't take depression as a problem really, or depression, or not depression specifically, but mental illness is a very low on the list of their problems.
Correct.
Like even, so how does it help them if they don't even like actually realize that it's a problem at all?
So it's very true. So what we're doing here is, the app is not just meant as a problem solver. Do you know what I mean? It's also meant as a journey of learning that you go on using your curiosity. I'm curious. I may not be depressed right now, but I'm going to explore this module on depression so I can prevent it in the future. For example, I may realize while doing the module that actually I'm depressed. I've got all the symptoms of depression. I just hadn't put a name on it, which is what happened to this girl I was talking about. Or how can I support someone else who's depressed, for example? So we do need to release or remove the stigma from mental health problems, which I know at the moment is really high all over the world. And one way of doing that is through the app. And it's also a way in which young people can have conversations with their parents, because at the moment, those conversations are often difficult. Parents struggle to understand that their children have a mental health issue, for example, sometimes. A lot of teenagers we speak to struggle to talk to their parents. And we hope the app will help with those conversations. Anything else, Rishma? I like the questions, by the way.
Thank you. I don't know. I'm still not clear on the fact that if they don't consider it a problem and just purely based on like curiosity that they're downloading the app, like how many of those like statistically would actually exist?
Dominic, do you want to see if you've got anything else to add there?
I'm not sure whether I understand the question.
Can I just come in here?
Yeah.
Can I just come in?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think I understand where her question is coming from. And I totally agree with what Rishima is saying. When we are going through the problem, many times we don't identify that I'm going through that problem.
Yes.
So, and when you speak about the app, it's a well-being app. It's not something which comes for a clinically depressed person. It's somebody for a normal human being, like when on a daily basis, when you look at it, you educate yourself. And when you educate, as Mr. Manoj said, you also identify it in your friends. See, as a counselor, what I see is many times it comes through peers. Friend comes and tell me, you need to talk to my friend. She's going through something. And the friend doesn't identify that she's going through it. So it's the way we support each other in the society. So, Rishma, the thing is what I think you're focusing on the clinical aspect of it. When a person is clinically depressed, yes, that needs intense therapy, that needs more professionals coming in to support the person. An app may not do the entire job. But
no, my question was actually that, yeah, like you said, that a friend is more likely to talk about their friend's issue.
Yes.
So like if the person doesn't realize that they have an issue, and I don't think most people would download the app based on curiosity, then how will it help them?
That's what now the education system, that's what we are talking about, is to educate people about well-being, to prioritize it. You should know what is your optimum level of performance. If things are going on, the introspection should happen. Why is it not going well? And that's where these kind of tools comes in, which support us to understand what's happening. And with a human being or with a counselor or with a teacher, there is always a slight hesitation that the person might be judgmental. For a lot of people, teenagers, that's the problem. They feel the person is going to judge me. With the app, that is not there.
Yes. So
it has its advantage, it has its limitations.
Yeah, good points. That this is not meant for people who are severely depressed or anxious or what. They need professional help. This is for people who are normal and probably those who have mild to moderate degree of problems. It can help them as well. But Rishma, maybe the answer is that you cannot help someone who doesn't want to be helped. The only person you have responsibility for is yourself. And eventually your own suffering makes you look for an answer. So you might be suffering and you're just curious. You may not even give it a name. I'm not happy. What's the reason? And that curiosity, we hope, will help people find their own answers. And if they're interested, then of course the app is there as a tool. But you're right. If someone's not interested in solving their problems or not curious, then we can't help them. We cannot help everybody. I guess that's the short answer. Callan?
So a while ago, you had mentioned that the app would help students like identify the markers of this, what's causing their stress in that situation, and then it would help them to address it. But how would they help them to address it? For example, like if that particular situation happened to be triggering stress, how would they be able to realize that it's triggering their stress and make them feel not as stressed anymore in that particular situation?
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the adult program with you. So let me just show you very quickly what we are talking about. And so that gives you a much, this is the adult app, okay? And if you come to the For You section, there's one on mental health. So this is what we're doing. So you'll have a Feel Better Now, where you'll get short videos on stress and anxiety and first aid for emotional distress, which is like a tapping technique to help you feel better now. And then we take you deeper and we'll explore topics like breathing exercises. The module on stress, for example, has 7 sessions on helping you understand the mechanism behind it or how to meet stress with wisdom. So there's a lot of depth here. And as Prithvi said, it depends on the particular cause of it or how to deal with stress, fear and anxiety, what role your past influences play. Is your mind reactive? If your mind wasn't reactive, would you be able to deal with it better? And so on. Then there are life stories, guided questions, short videos, podcasts, events. And we're hoping that we can do some podcasts with you all, and put them out there as well. Because we're interested in your mind and your thinking and your views, and so on. So, for example, this Saturday, and I'll share that link with you all as well, we have an event on kindness. It's a global event. You're very welcome to come along. How can we be more kind? And so we host regular events. So once you go through that stress module, Callan, let me know. But essentially, there are only 3 things we can do. So is there something out there is causing me to feel stressed, right? Either I can change the event, or I can accept things as they are, or I can change my reaction to the event. If I can change the event, like I've got a flat tire, for example, my car's broken down, I can change that. If I cannot change the event, like I can't change your opinion about something. Suppose you and I are in a relationship. I can't change your opinion, right? I can try and force it, but that's not going to work. It's going to create more stress, right? So then I have to accept, okay, Callan is different. She has a different opinion. Or I can change my reaction. And what human wisdom is doing is helping you understand where your reaction comes from and gives you the tools to be in charge of your own reactions. So you have the ability to change that if it serves you. Do you understand?
Got it. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. You want to add anything, and then I'll summarize and conclude.
Yes, I'll just add on to what Anika said. I also felt the interaction was very honest and sincere. All of them gave a very straight from heart kind of a response. So that adds a lot of value to the discussion.
Thank you. Dominic, anything to add?
Yeah, one of the things this always does for me is every year I would hear about how the world is a terrible place and it's heading in such an awful direction. And then I would look at the faces of the children that were in my school, and I'd be filled with hope and positivity. And this discussion for me, and looking around at the faces on the screen, fills me with hope and positivity. You know, the world is going to be okay because you are going to make it okay.
Yes, and that's our passion at Human Wisdom, to help give you the skills to make the world a better place, to flourish in life for yourself. So to summarize, Human Wisdom is all about learning. It's rooted in education, but it's about learning about yourself and how your mind works. And then applying that inner intelligence or that understanding to every aspect of your life. So you can be successful in the world and be emotionally intelligent. You can be mentally healthy and happy. You can have wonderful, fulfilling, rich, meaningful relationships. You can avoid the perils of addiction. You can develop resilience, empathy, compassion, and the ability to come together with other human beings and solve some of these problems that humanity faces. So your life is lived not just for yourself and how can I be number one, but hey, how can I make a difference in the world? How can I address some of these huge challenges that the world is facing? So I'm so encouraged by our discussion, and thank you for your time today.